Story 1. The Fake Cop in the Abandoned House. When I was 18, I was far from mature and often fought with my parents over small things, turning them into huge dramas. One particularly bad day, my parents basically kicked me out for the day. Being stubborn and immature, I decided to prove a point by not coming back home at all. I wandered around town, eventually calming down as it got dark. I realized I needed somewhere to spend the night. I didn't want to go to friends' houses because their parents would call mine and make everything worse. The first place I thought of was an old vacant house that had been abandoned for years. I had explored it during the day with friends before. It wasn't too creepy then, just an empty old home. I figured I could stay there, maybe not sleep, just wait out the night. I walked over around 10 p.m. The house was at the end of a dead-end street with an overgrown driveway past a gate. I made sure no one was around before sneaking in. The place was completely overgrown with bushes and trees, almost swallowed by the forest. The broken front door was still open, just like before. At night, it was terrifyingly dark. Most windows and doors were boarded up. I knew right away I wouldn't sleep there, but I was curious enough to look around. I only made it to the staircase and started going up when I heard footsteps on the floor below me. I froze. Then I heard a door open near the entrance I'd come through. Whoever it was stood right by my only way out. I waited, hoping they'd leave. But after that, there was complete silence. Like they were just standing there, waiting. After about 10 minutes of nothing, I decided I had to get out. I quietly went back down, checked corners, and headed toward the open door. Then I saw him. A tall, skinny man standing directly in front of the doorway, staring right at me. He told me to stop. He was wearing a uniform, so I immediately thought, cop. His voice was deep and slightly slurred. He asked why I was there. I apologized and said I'd leave immediately. He stepped closer and asked if I came alone. Something about the way he said it felt wrong. Up close, his uniform looked off. Too big, ill-fitting, not right. His face stayed in shadow. I couldn't see his eyes. He asked what I was looking for. I shook my head. Then I saw what looked like a smile in the dark. He walked over to the pitch-black room he had come from, leaned on the door frame, and in a half-friendly, half-horrifying voice said, "Come here." Everything screamed that he wasn't a real cop. He wasn't blocking the exit anymore. He was a few feet away from it. I took the chance and sprinted for the door. His arm shot out and grabbed my shirt collar, choking me for a split second before I slipped free. I ran nonstop through the woods and across town until I reached home. When I got there, a real police car was in the driveway. My parents had reported me missing after I didn't come home, and no one heard from my friends. I was too shocked and scared to tell the cops about the house or the fake officer. I never admitted I broke in or ran from someone. The fact that no one ever asked about the vacant house later proved he wasn't real. If he had been, they would have known exactly who I was. I take full responsibility for putting myself in danger that night, but I still don't think I deserved whatever was waiting for me in that room. Story 2. The Silent Circle in the Old Farmhouse. I grew up in a very small countryside town where nothing ever happened. Super boring, especially as a teenager. When I was 17 or 18 during summer break, my best friend Marcus and I decided on a whim to explore the only truly abandoned place around. An old early 1900s farmhouse on about 200 acres. The owners died decades ago. The county took it over, fenced it, and put up no trespassing signs. From the road, you could see the rotting house in the middle of a giant field. Bored out of our minds, we parked far away, walked along the fence through woods to the back, and only crossed open field for a couple minutes to avoid being seen. Up close, the house looked blackened and weathered, vines everywhere, but surprisingly not falling apart. We climbed through an open window. Inside it was dead silent except for our footsteps. The floors creaked but felt solid. Dust floated in our flashlight beams. We both felt uneasy right away but didn't say anything at first. Then Marcus whispered for me to look up. Between the floorboards above, a very faint orange glow came through the cracks, barely visible unless you stood directly under it. We should have left, but curiosity won. We went upstairs quietly. In the hallway, under one closed door, we saw a brighter, flickering orange light. It was silent, no sounds at all except us. I put my ear to the door. Nothing. I slowly turned the handle and pushed. The door creaked loudly. Inside, a group of people, 3 men I could make out, maybe more, were on their knees in a circle, surrounded by a few candles. They were completely motionless. Even after the door noise and us walking around for minutes, they didn't flinch or look over, like they were frozen or in a trance. I stared for maybe 3 seconds before Marcus yanked me away. We hurried down the stairs, trying to be quiet even though we were panicking. Just as I was climbing out the window, we heard heavy footsteps thundering out of the room and down the stairs. I dove out. We sprinted to the woods. A little ways in, we heard a loud thud behind us, maybe the window slamming shut. We walked back in shock, heads pounding. Marcus dropped me home. We barely ever talked about it again, like we both wanted to forget. Years later, after I moved away for college, I passed by. The farmhouse was gone. It remains the most horrifying experience of my life. Story 3. The Mining Town and the Thing in the Forest. I was backpacking for a month on the West Coast, hitting lots of trails. A friend told me about an abandoned mining town buried deep in the mountains and forest. Rare because most old mining towns are in open desert areas. This one was only a few miles off my trail, so I decided to check it out. I reached it around midday under cloudy skies. The forest had grown over everything. Small cabins almost merged with the trees. No paths between houses, no signs of recent visitors. It felt untouched for over a century. Very quiet and still. I explored for about half an hour, but kept getting the strong feeling I was being watched, constantly looking over my shoulder. I told myself it was just the creepy vibe of being alone in a forgotten place deep in the woods. At the end of the town was the mine entrance in the mountainside. It went pitch black after just a few feet. A deep, constant rumbling sound came from inside, like it echoed through the whole tunnel system. The closer I got, the more dread I felt. My eyes strained in the darkness, almost seeing shapes that weren't there. I only stepped in a couple feet before my body refused to go further. I backed out quickly and hurried through the town, feeling watched the whole way back to my campsite on the trail. I made camp, lit a fire, and tried to forget the feeling. A couple hours after dark, normal animal sounds started, but something felt wrong. An elk kept bugling every few minutes from the same spot, always in the direction of the mining town. It never moved closer or farther. Then it stopped for 15 to 20 minutes. A sudden sharp snap in the forest snapped me out of my thoughts. My gut instantly screamed that someone had followed me and was there. I stood, stared into the dark, then started packing fast. The moment I kicked dirt over the fire and it went out, footsteps sprinted toward me from the snap direction. My headlamp couldn't reach far enough to see anything. I turned and ran down the trail. I never heard them follow me onto the trail. They seemed to stop once I ran. I hiked back to my car through the night, exhausted. Later, I told my friend. He said he never went near the mine or camped there after dark. He also mentioned the elk might have been calling territorially because it saw someone, which should have been my cue to leave. Whatever was out there that night, that mining town is better left forgotten.